Let's cover this Trump Univision thing. Earlier, we played the Harris interview with Bret Baier on Fox News. That was pretty tense and adversarial. Trump, for his part, was doing a Univision town hall. Harris did this a few days ago, last week, something like that. And here a farmer asks Trump about his deportation plans. This man is named Jorge Velasquez. He's 64 years old. He's a farmer himself. And with Trump talking about these mass deportations and rounding up migrants in this country to kick them out of the country, this man here asked him a pretty simple question. How is farm work going to continue? How are these workers who do a lot of the labor in this country under the cloak of secrecy, really, because they're undocumented, how is that going to affect the industry? How is that going to affect my work? And honestly, just Trump's callousness in this response here says everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Diana. Muchas gracias. President Trump, as you know, farming is one of the most demanding jobs, and farmers like Jorge Velasquez over here work hard to put food on the table of American families. He has a question for you. Jorge Velasquez es agricultor y tiene una pregunta.
Good hair, yeah, by the way. Nice hair. Look at that.
Buenas noches, señor Presidente Trump. He trabajado toda mi vida con estas manos, agachado por horas, piscando fresa, cortando brócoli.
Good evening, President Trump. For many years, I have worked with these hands, hunched over, picking strawberries and cutting broccoli.
Este duro trabajo es realizado en su mayoría por gente indocumentada.
This tough job is mainly done by undocumented people.
Si usted deporta a esta gente, ¿quién haría ese trabajo y qué precio pagaríamos por la comida?
If you deport these people, who would do that job and what price would we pay for food?
Please. Finished, yes?
Yes.
So the problem we have is we had people coming in under my administration, and they were coming in legally. They were coming in through a system that we had, which was great, because I'm the best thing that ever happened to farmers. You know that. I was great. You know, farmers are doing very badly right now, very, very badly under this administration. Under my administration, farmers did very well. We have to have a lot of people come into our country. We just want them to come in legally through a system, because they've released hundreds of thousands of people that are murderers, drug dealers, terrorists. They're coming in totally, nobody knows who they are, where they come from. And the people that are most against it are the Hispanic people. They are totally against it, what's happened. The other thing I can say is that a lot of the jobs that you have and that other people have are being taken by these people that are coming in. And the African-American population and the Hispanic population in particular are losing jobs now because millions of people are coming in. So they're coming in, but they're also coming in largely, and tremendous numbers coming in out of mental institutions. They're emptying out mental institutions. They're emptying out insane asylums. That's a step above a mental institution. Worse, bigger problems, bigger problem people. They're emptying out jails. Their jails are being let into our country from Venezuela, but not just South America, from all over the world they're being let in. From jails, from nobody's ever seen anything like it. The jail population throughout the world has come way down, and it's all coming into the United States of America. So we want workers, and we want them to come in, but they have to come in legally. They have to love our country. They have to love you, love our people. The problem with this administration is they've totally lost control. It's the worst president and the worst vice president that we've ever had in this country. What they have done to our country in terms of hurting it. Our farmers, by the way, are dying. They haven't had anything so bad in 25 years. 4 years ago, our farmers, including you, were making a lot of money. They were doing great.
All right, whatever. I mean, honestly, he's just, first of all, he looks like shit. That's my aesthetic point about like what the hell is
What's
going
on with that?
He
Cadaver makeup.
He keeps canceling all these events, and I mean, after that 39-minute swaying around on stage, I think a lot of people are starting to rightly ask, like, he's always been unwell. But how unwell is he now? Just something to observe.
And how unwell will he be in 4 years if
Yes.
hypothetically he wins this election?
And it's just so around 50% of the labor workforce, farm workforce in this country are undocumented workers. And that man there said, I've been doing hard work, backbreaking work my entire life. And I work alongside all of these people. What is your plan for, first of all, if you just want to be, you don't care about the humanity of undocumented people in this country, and you just want to make a straight economic point, mass deportations targeting undocumented workers in this country would decimate the farm industry in the same way that, by the way, Trump's ideas for tariffs would be horrible for many industries. The auto one is the one he's talking about most, but also farmers as well. So just from a pure economic standpoint, this would be a disaster. But it's just like when that man stands in front of you and says, I've been doing backbreaking work my whole life, you're going to mass deport people I work with? What's it going to do? And he goes into bragging about himself and talking about how they're emptying people from insane asylums into this country. He's just...
Trump knows.
He's just a horrible person. There's not much else to say.
Trump knows how hard undocumented people work because he has exploited undocumented labor. He does it on his golf courses and properties. Mm-hmm. He did so at the famous Trump Tower, where he used undocumented Polish workers to clear out asbestos.
Yeah.
Some of them getting cancer later in the line, to the point where they had to threaten to kill the guy, hang the guy that was their liaison. And Trump threatened them with deportation services. So when we hear these things about, like, so he can't address that guy as a farm worker. He has to be like, so you have farmers like you. But when we talk about farmers and, like, say, the bigger capitalists, why do they support this even though it would destroy their business? It's the same reason Trump does, because Trump also knows that he's not going to be able to trim the hedges at the Trump places without that. But it is useful to have something like ICE there, because if those workers start getting uppity and start saying, I'm demanding, say, like a day off or a water break, or I'm going to complain, it's like, well, we'll just get you the F out of here. That's what this is all about. So yeah, Trump can't speak to the worker because, and look, there will be, I think, deportations if Trump wins, and that will set the example that the rest of the capitalists want, which is like the ones that don't get deported, that are still being exploited by our capitalists. They are going to be extra. They're going to be extra on the DL and not complaining. And that's what this is about. This is about labor, and this is not about protecting jobs for black people, because now all of a sudden the black people are going to go to South Dakota and help harvest corn or whatever. Like that's insincere, and anyone who thinks that Trump is sincere about, like, black jobs or Latino jobs, for instance, like, we should be doing more as a federal government for communities impacted by large migration flows, and a large part of that is, like, border communities. Those are $100,000 jobs. Those don't come everywhere. The same reason, like, why police are popular among certain groups. It's like those are some of the best jobs for people who haven't gone through college, or, for instance, like. This is a material issue.
And you're exactly on point about this. We have so many layers of leverage that capitalists, bosses, use over their employees, and those are often the hardest institutions to break apart. I mean, the private health insurance industry is one of them. Health insurance and healthcare coming through your employment is a big piece of that as well. But our immigration system being broken, right? It's not broken for people who want to exploit their labor, because, as Matt says, these are points of leverage. If you want to ask for more money, you want to ask for more money from me, I'm going to call ICE on your ass.
Yep, exactly.
You want to complain about the fact that your 14-year-old's hand got mangled in this, like, equipment that we're using to slice up meat
at 4 a.m. in the morning,
as he's working at 4 a.m. in the morning? Why don't I call ICE on your ass?
Yep.
That's exactly what this is.
And it's so insincere because they'll say like, because most Americans, and even the way they message this, like they're not racist, and they don't have the demographic anxiety that is really animating a lot of this too. And so like when you say like a lot of them are criminals, well, that's what they have to go to because the actual numbers with regards to jobs and stuff are not clear at all. You can look at this very closely. There's been lots of studies on immigration and the effect that it has on the economy, and generally it's positive. To the extent that there's any sort of undercutting, you know what the solution for that is labor protections
Yes.
and empowering labor.
Exactly.
So like it's not just keeping people out. It's pretty wild. And again, it's shame on the Democrats because this should be American. The fucking Statue of Liberty. I see it every time I go to Manhattan. Like immigration is a good thing for this country. We should stop causing. Like when he mentions Venezuela, it's like, oh, I wonder what happened to Venezuela. For instance, like the number one export oil. Did we have anything to do with the collapse of that industry with like our policy?
Or the Haitian migrants that he's targeted with his racist conspiracy
Both
theories.
examples of American collective punishment. And they were like, well, why are they coming here? Well, you break it, you buy it.
And we are on the verge of a greater need for mass migration as a result of capitalism and American empire in the form of climate change. We will be seeing climate migration all across the world for this very reason. And the global south will be affected more than us in the north. And to your point, just to wrap this up about like his claim that these are criminals, the freaking Cato Institute did a fact check on his 13,000 murderers or whatever, and it's a lie that they're being unleashed from asylums and prisons. It is a lie. It's a lie, and he keeps repeating it. And so anyway, it just is like to see that guy ask him in earnest about, the dignity of his work or his industry, and to have him respond like that. I mean, it's just a good example of who this dude is.
And like, it's crazy. Like, and farmers like you, he didn't say he was a farmer.
No.
He said he was a farm worker.
Really cool says the farm worker asked a totally legit question. If you deport undocumented workers, what will happen to food prices? I mean, that's a part of it. Yes.
Black people just.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with his tariff policy. It's nonsensical.
Yeah.
That's part of why, like, the business press is now more pro-Harris. And that's a part of, like, why he's losing ground on the numbers with the economy. And it's been clearly the campaign strategy. I don't know if that makes me feel great, but he's not moving away from this tariff thing. So.
Right. Well, yeah, the corporate imperative to like strengthen the deportation thing, like they've kind of already did it. like if I'm one of these companies, it's like we've done this for so long. How much before we can just exploit these workers again under the new regime that we've set up, where both parties are like, yeah, this is a huge crisis we got to solve.
Exactly. All right, folks. With that, we are going to wrap up the first hour of this program and head into the fun half, where we will take your calls, read your IMs, all that good stuff. As a reminder, your support is what makes this show possible. Join themajorityreport.com. Please support our show. You can become a member and you can IM the show. I'll read your IMs. That's what we do here. All that good stuff. Matt, what's happening on Left Reckoning?
Left Reckoning Sunday. I'm going to talk about Ta-Nehisi Coates' new book, which I read over the weekend. I think there's a lot interesting in it. Particularly the Palestine stuff, which is very heavily, I think, influenced by Noor Erakat, who he cites. But overall, just a really, I think, important book, and one that it's interesting to hear him assess like sort of the case for reparations and how that got through the Atlantic editorial system. And he talks about being a young writer, and noticeably, the Atlantic editors didn't flag anything about the use of Israel as an example of great reparations, and he sort of contends with like realizing like, I
was lied to. That's what he said to Ezra Klein.
I was empowered to be at this major institution, but you can't just rely on that sort of thing. So it's fascinating. Yeah,
that's interesting. I'm definitely going to read the book too. No ESPN this week because Bradley's out. On Monday, I think Matt is going to be guest hosting.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about 3 hours on NBA.
Yes, we will talk about the NBA. We've been in NFL world for ESPN, but we'll have Matt on. It'll be a great time. And then Bradley's back for our regular Thursday OT show next week, but not this week. We're off this week. Do we have Brandon and Binder?
I don't see either of them, so I'll put out the bat signal for them.
They're late, just like Kamala Harris,
Wow.
disrespecting the institution of
We have
Fox
to turn
News.
this around.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.